Sports 2.
This is Sky Sports Live.
With runaway leader German Nico Hülkenberg away for the day, race fans can expect a spectacular shootout between his closest challengers. Second place New Zealand will have Johnny Reid firing on all cylinders, whilst Team France will be relying on new kid Jean-Carl Vernet. A 4-week break after an action-packed Durban street race has refreshed the drivers' senses, and Mexico promises more sizzling entertainment. Mexico's talented Salvador Duran will have plenty of home support and could upset the big guns when he rides into town this weekend. Monterrey was last year's venue for the Mexican round of A1GP. This season, it's Mexico City and the Autodromos Hermanos Rodriguez that plays host to the World Cup of Motorsport. Today, it's qualifying. Just 3 races to go in the current A1GP season, and just 3 nations can now win it. In theory, Team Germany could walk away from Mexico with the title, but they are up against it. With Nico Hülkenberg missing this weekend, it's the best chance yet for New Zealand and France to seize the initiative and close the gap on the leaders. Let's get the thoughts ahead of qualifying with Tony Jardine, who joins me in the studio. Where Tony, Germany need to finish the weekend with a 34-point lead in order to take the title. Realistically, can you see it happening?
Well, it's going to be tough. They've got this young rookie kid in, this 17-year-old Christian Vitoris, and he's going to be under huge pressure. As good as he is, he's a real junior league driver, and it's one of the toughest tracks out there. From my days in Grand Prix when we were there, not just the altitude, the ripples on the track and the high-speed nature of it. He's got to go through both races, and he's got to survive 70 minutes in the feature race, hang in there and hope to get points. So I think Germany are just not expecting him to win.
Big opportunity for New Zealand and France. Is it a bigger opportunity for New Zealand, bearing in mind that France also have a rookie in the driving seat?
Well, I think New Zealand are quite right. They've said they mustn't just watch what France are doing or what Team GBR are doing. They've got to concentrate on making hay while the sun shines, and really they've got to sort of really play for it while the cat's away, haven't they?
This racetrack, as you've mentioned, is pretty new to all the A1GP drivers except for Bruno Junqueira. It's heaped in history, though, isn't it? John Surtees won here back in 1964 and in 66. This is a racetrack that a lot of people are very familiar with in the A1 setup.
Yeah, I mean, there have been championship shootouts there with Jackie Stewart and Graham Hill and Denny Hulman. As you say, John Surtees and some of the other seat holders are able to pass on their knowledge of this track. I mean, what the young drivers have been doing is been looking at videos of previous races to see which way round it goes. But they're going to have to pass on their knowledge, and the young drivers are going to have to find their way between the bumps, because it is very, very difficult, and they're going to have to learn, if they don't already know, how to slipstream properly.
I'm going to describe it as an oxygen-starved setting, because that's what it is, more or less. 7,500 foot above sea level. The air's going to be pretty thin. How much of a problem is that going to be?
Well, you see, it's tough physically on the drivers and the engine as well. Of course, it's the same for everybody. You're losing a percentage of your horsepower. But you think about it at that altitude, and it can be quite smoggy in Mexico City as well.
How tricky is it to acclimatise to that, though, for the drivers?
It's quite tough, and most of them have been there since Sunday, Monday, trying to get used to it and jogging around the track and so on. But at the same time, in the 70-minute feature race, that's when it's really going to tell, and where your fitness counts. And already team managers are saying, well, how fit are they? And drivers are talking about they've been doing extra training for this particular race, so it's a real tough one.
OK, with the championships not done and dusted yet, let's just remind you of exactly how things stand with 3 races left to go. It looks like this. Germany going into the weekend with a huge lead, a 30-point lead. Their nearest challengers, New Zealand in second spot on 69 points. France a little further back, 42 points off the leaders. Still in with a shout, though, of second spot, Team GBR. And Mexico currently in 8th with 34 points. The home nation 65 points adrift of the leaders. There is plenty, though, still to fight for in this championship. A good qualifying performance at the forefront of drivers' minds today. Lee Mackenzie's trackside with the latest.
Thanks very much, Georgie. Hello and welcome to the world's third largest city, Mexico City. It's hot, it's hectic, but it also provides us with a real classic racetrack. Mexico City is over 2,500 metres above sea level, which plays havoc for drivers and also for the cars. They're losing about 70 to 80 brake horsepower. One guy who knows all about this is the Team GBR driver, Ollie Jarvis. Ollie, not too many problems this morning. You were quickest. You're back in the car this weekend. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling very confident. Like you say, we were quickest in the test session, so can't be too unhappy with that. But we're going to have to work hard to reproduce that form in qualifying.
I think these are the world's noisiest cars going past behind us. Does the altitude affect your car or yourself as a driver?
It's certainly making a difference to the performance of the engine. I think we're losing about 20% horsepower, so it certainly feels a little bit slower in the straight lines. But apart from that, as a driver, we're not feeling it too much. You've got so much adrenaline running through your body that you just get on with the job on hand.
What about qualifying this afternoon? This is only your second race weekend here in A1GP.
Yeah, but actually my first qualifying session, so I'm very new to the format. I've got high hopes, but at the same time I've got to be realistic. There's guys out there that probably had sort of 80 sets new tyres. I'll be going out with my third set ever, so I'm going to push hard and hopefully we can have a good result. But the interesting thing is we've got very good race pace.
Ollie, thanks very much. I'm not kind of sure what cars these are going past. I don't know what engines they've got in them, but they're amplified beyond belief. There's plenty of new drivers here this weekend, not just Ollie. Nico Hülkenberg is not here for Germany. That's put a smile on a lot of people's faces. But standing in for him is Christian Vittoris. He's no slouch either. Loic Duval not here for Team France. But Johnny Reid is back for New Zealand. He's been looking quick all weekend. Back to you.
Lee, thank you. Well, British hopes riding high then today with Ollie Jarvis in the driving seat. Team GBR boss John Surtees incidentally won at this track himself back in 1964 and in 1966. Well, John Watson and Lee Mackenzie guide you around the A1GP Mexico circuit.
The historic Autodromos Hermanes Rodriguez is a little space of tranquility in what is the world's third largest city. The public park is a haven for cyclists and a mecca for racing drivers, but the principles are the same. Avoid the curbs at all costs. If you don't, there are some beautifully carved walls just waiting to etch themselves into the car. A bumpy surface and the endless Piratalda corner make it a very physical and demanding track.
With 14 turns and the longest start-finish straight of any in A1GP. Coming down the main straight, particularly in the rolling start for the sprint race, lots of action coming into turn one. You must stay off the curbs in one, you must stay off them in two, and you've got to stay off them in turn three, which then leads on to a shorter straight where you build up speed once again, which leads up to the entry into turn four. Late braking into turn four, into third gear, but then you have to change down into second so as you get the speed off to take turn five. That's the tight turn to the right. Short sprint, second gear, third gear, up to turn six, the hairpin bend. It's really a two-part corner. You try to make it a single corner. From here you go into the sequence of lefts and right that comprise the S's. Difficult to place the car accurately, it is bumpy, lots of shake in the steering wheel, lots of shake in your body. Building up speed progressively until you get to turn 11, then you get into fourth gear, and the final two corners of the S's culminating in turn 13, the quickest of them all. And then it's on to the final back straight, which leads up to the notorious Piratalda corner, which used to be a 7-degree bank corner, but now is much flatter. Difficulty in this corner is you can't see the exit. There's now a baseball stadium in the inside of the corner. Hug that white line and then free the car up on the exit, and you completed another lap here in Mexico City.
Not every day you get a baseball stadium at the corner of a racing circuit. Let's get the thoughts of Tony to that circuit and to that track report from John. It has the reputation for being extremely challenging, this circuit. How technically demanding a track is it?
It's not that technical, but it's very, very high speed. As John was saying there, you've got to keep off the curbs and you've got to keep away or try to keep away from some of the bigger bumps. And because the surface has shifted so much, it's never going to be billiard smooth. But it's a little bit like Monza in as much as that it's got some slow bends, but it's got some high speed bends, and there's a great flow to the track. So you've got to get a good rhythm going.
And that fast final corner.
That fast final corner, the Peraltada, is very, very important. Apart from the fact it's very dangerous because it's blind. Someone could have spun 3/4 of the way round. And they're going through there something like 210 kilometres per hour on the exit. But you need to get it absolutely right, because you need high speed to get on that long straight, and they'll all be going down that straight, slipstreaming each other. So when I was working at Grand Prix, we always used to have lots of accidents, people getting in each other's way. So what these kids get up to, who knows?
A few might get caught out. So we know the challenges for the drivers. What about for the engineers and the car setups, bearing in mind it is a bumpy track?
Those people like Oliver Jarvis who've gone through the rookie session, they should have had time now to set up the ride height, back off the wings as much as they dare possible, risk having very, very low downforce so that the thing goes through the air as fast as possible, and you're sacrificing downforce and grip through some of the bends that way. But that's how they'll be looking at setting the car up, and as low to the ground as possible.
Could be exciting, this, because just one driver, Bruno Junqueira, actually has experience of this racetrack. The rest don't. So another new circuit for A1GP this weekend. Plenty of fresh challenges as well for the drivers. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, though, live qualifying from Mexico. Welcome back to A1GP Mexico. We're at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, I should say, this weekend for round 9. Easy for me to say. The weather in Mexico City, 26 degrees outside temperature, but we are 7,500 feet above sea level. 25% loss of engine power, that then means. To take you trackside for qualifying, our reporters Lee McKenzie and Simon Hill, our commentary team of John Watson and Ben Edwards will guide you through the early action.
The first qualifying segment of the day here at Mexico City is about to get underway. Drivers preparing in pit lane. We've got wonderful weather conditions. We're all set for the first of the 4 segments, and it's going to be Team Pakistan to take to the track first. Nur Ali scoring that point in Durban last time out and determined to be out there early. Let me just quickly run you through the list of drivers here today. Team Australia have a new driver in Ian Dyke. He's been their rookie driver a little bit. Brazil has Bruno Junqueira, the only man who's ever raced here on this track of our current crop of drivers. Canada has James Hinchcliffe, China Hoping Tong, then Team Czech Republic has Yanis Yarek, Team France has Jean-Carl Vernet, Germany has Christian Vittorius, Great Britain going for Oliver Jarvis this weekend, India Narain Karthikeyan, Indonesia Nanda Mikula, for Ireland it's Richard Lyons, for Italy Enrico Toccacello, for Lebanon Alan Coder makes his return, Alex Young drives for Malaysia, Salvador Duran is the host nation driver, Jeroen Bleekemolen and Renger van der Zende are both driving for Team Netherlands, but it's van der Zende who will qualify today. Johnny Reid for New Zealand, Nur Ali here for Pakistan, Alvaro Parent for Portugal, and then Adrian Zaug for South Africa. Finally, we've got Marcel Fassler for Switzerland and Jonathan Somerton for the United States.
Just looking into Team Australia, Ian Dyke on his helmet, he's got the Silverstone Rubber Company. Well, that's a new one on me.
Well, he's been running that rubber right out to the edge of the track just about everywhere, hasn't he, John?
He certainly has. Been coming off turn 14, the Peraltada, he's been running it. In fact, either very early in the exit or even very late in the exit. Somehow or other, he's managed to kick up dust more than any other driver, and he seems to be unaware of it.
So, Ollie Jarvis with his first opportunity to qualify for Team Great Britain. He's been fastest this weekend so far. Can he get pole position? Let's first of all focus on Team Pakistan, though. Let's see how Nur Ali has adapted to this track over the 2 days of practice that we've had so far.
I think he's done a very good job. He's got within 2.8 seconds of the fastest time this morning, and that's clearly a step forward in performance for the Pakistani driver. He's into turn 1. You can see the bumps just on the entry. You can carry a lot of speed into turn 1. It's one of those corners that invites you to run into it. Runs a little bit wide going through 2, then exits out through 3, kicks up the dust, a little bit careless on the exit, just let the car run unnecessarily too far over the curbs, but he gathers it all back and charges into 4.
So let's watch him now into the quick left, followed by a tight right. You've got to keep it neat and tidy through here. The car, as you can see, bouncing, but watch out for the bumps even further around the circuit. They have more effect really in the faster corners.
Yeah, so into this double part 6 corner. Then you pick up speed through turn 7, then back again for 8. Again, look at the amount of hand movement of the steering wheel from Nur Ali. That's not simply because of him using the steering wheel excessively, it's because of the bumps, the kickback, the feedback that you get through the steering when you're going round. Again, the bumping, the ratcheting from the rear of the Pakistan car. I mean, they've got a car set up which, whether it's good, bad or indifferent, that's what Nur Ali is going to have to drive here this afternoon.
So now he's on the back straight, which leads down to Peraltada, that dauntingly fast. Used to be banked, but now it's a flat corner. Nigel Mansell pulled off a huge manoeuvre around Gerhard Berger here many years ago. Now it's a little flatter than it was then, but it's still a great corner. It's blind, as you mentioned earlier, John, and he's come through there safely.
Yes, he has, and he's going to do a 130 point something, 30.185. So in fact, that is the quickest lap of the weekend for Nur Ali, so he'll be happy with that. He's continued the progress that he's made, and well, whether he's going to end up any further up the grid than he's done traditionally. But let's look again as he goes through. This is coming into turn 8, and the amount of movement on the steering wheel, a lot of it, as I mentioned, is the kickback. Well, that's sorry, I beg it, coming out of turn 3, where he ran wide. It was a little bit careless and letting the car run as wide. Coming out of turn 3, you put your foot down, expect to get a big drive out of the corner, and that's not happening there. That's one of the corners I particularly noticed. I didn't get the drive off the corner, due again to the altitude.
Now, Malaysia started the weekend extremely well. They didn't do the... Alex Young was out in the second session yesterday, of course, didn't do the rookie session himself, although they did have a rookie here for the first time. And he set a time that was 4th quickest on Friday afternoon, but this morning he was struggling somewhat, and then the car stopped on him. They had an electrical problem, so he only ended up 13th, scratching their heads a little bit. I should think they're probably going to go back to the setup they enjoyed on Friday.
Yes, and they've been playing around with setups, and Alex Young with the Team Malaysia entry, they also tried to take wing off the car, because come Sunday's race, the sprint race and the feature race, you're going to have to carry a lot more speed on the straight than you would probably do for qualifying, simply because all the overtaking will take place pretty much into turn 1, and if you can maintain a good speed through, a balance through the S's, then you can keep your position and not really be challenged too strongly.
Let's just remind you, of course, Germany currently lead the points by a big margin, some 30 points in A1GP World Cup of Motorsport. But with Nico Hülkenberg not here this weekend, there is an opportunity for the other nations to try and catch up. In terms of qualifying, Germany has dominated the recent events. They took pole in New Zealand, pole in Australia, and pole last time out in Durban. So today there's going to be an opportunity, I would think, for somebody else. We don't expect Christian Vittoris, the German driver, this weekend. He is fast, but we don't really expect him to be challenging for pole position just yet.
Well, just under 10 minutes now remaining. We've still only seen one qualifying lap established. That's Pakistan. We've got cars now out on circuit. We've seen the Czech Republic go out, Indonesia's going out, Malaysia going down the pit lane. So with just, was it 9 minutes or so of the session remaining, it's going to start getting rather busy.
Looks like a pretty fresh set of tyres on the Malaysian car there as Alex Young heads out. Team Ireland have been suffering problems, not really on the pace, and then they had a gearbox problem this morning.
Yes, they had to rebuild the gearbox since Durban. They didn't have all the required parts that they needed, and they then got them, and so it was a little bit of catch-up for Team Ireland, so everything is back to square one, and looking for a significant improvement in performance. Interestingly, that the Netherlands and Ireland are partners, if you like, in sharing technology information is set up, and the setup of the two cars is not very far apart. The Netherlands were second quickest this morning. Ireland, in spite of that problem they had, down in 20th place, and there's a lot of head scratching going on the Ireland technical side.
Just remember, they do one flying lap in each of these 4 segments of qualifying. Each segment is 15 minutes long, and there are 8 minutes and a half remaining in this session, as you can see from the clock in the top left-hand corner of the screen, ticking away. We're now on the flying lap of Jarek Janis for the Team Czech Republic.
So there you see the flow of turns 1, 2 and 3, and they're all pretty nice corners, but you've got to stay away from the banking. They are very steep banks or curbing, and any attempt to ride it with the loose slung front wing on the A1GP car will literally put the wing into contact with the curb before the wheel gets there.
Yes, thankfully we haven't seen anybody do that yet, whack the front wing off on one of these curves, but surely somebody's going to do it at some point. Jarek Janis drove the car here for the Czech Republic in Indonesia earlier on this season. Had a pretty strong result, particularly in the feature, finished in 7th.
Yeah, he got a big slide going into turn 8, and the back end of the car stepped out. So the car, you can see, riding over the bumps, the suspension, it's a choppy, ratchety kind of ride. Not the easiest ride, particularly going through these S's.
That's right. Now there we are. There's the Czech Republic car still on the flying lap. Some of these other cars are currently themselves on laps where they're just out of the pits or just getting up to speed. But Malaysia also on a flying lap at the moment. Team Australia, you just looked at there, they're just on an out lap. So here we go. Jarek Yanis about to finish off his flying lap. And let's see where this puts him. Should be first because only Pakistan has set a pace so far. This is going to give us a bit more idea. Across the line he goes, and he does go quickest. Can confirm the clock's still ticking there, but he's done a 1:29.188.
So there we have a look at the Czech Republic as it comes right. This is going to go into turn 8 when you see the back of the car. Steps away, this is the left hand, turn 7. This then he changes direction. There she goes. And you'd always imagine that he hadn't gotten the tyres up to full operation temperature, but I think those tyres were plenty warm enough. So again, an indication as to where the car is. Indonesia now quickest on a 1:27.659. And that is fractionally slower than the quickest lap we saw this morning from Team GBR. So a big leap forward for Indonesia. They were down in 19th into 29.1 this morning, and they picked up best part of a second and a half.
That's a great lap. There is a bit more cloud cover than we saw this morning, so that might be helping the times. There's Malaysia on a quick lap. Now, Alex Young was so fast on Friday. Have they got the car back to where they want it to be? Is he going to challenge Indonesia? It's going to be quick in the 26s. First time we've seen a car this weekend that fast, and it's Alex Young who sets the initial pace.
Well, low fuel, fresh tyres, and a very strong lap. Indeed, all the experience and expertise of Alex Young gives him a 0.854 second advantage. Portugal have just leapt up into second place, disposing Indonesia down to third.
Now then, Germany with the new driver, Christian Vittoris. How's he going to do? He goes second. What a great first effort. I know not so many cars have set a time yet, but he's ahead of Portugal. He's ahead of USA, who's just popped up into fourth. And that's a good first effort by Christian Vittoris for Team Germany.
But Malaysia still 0.731 of a second advantage. That was a stunning lap from Alex Young. We've not seen anything approaching that level of performance over the weekend to date from Alex Young. And when it counts, he delivers. James Hinchcliffe for Canada coming up out of turns 13 into 14. Watch Hinchcliffe. This car has been very unstable at the rear of the car, bouncing around, giving him a hard time.
This is the only race in the Americas in this second season of A1GP, so it's as close to a home race as James Hinchcliffe is going to get. What can Canada do on their first run? It's not going to be that quick. Cross the line, let's see, it's seventh quickest for Team Canada. The clock not stopping quite where it should do, but I can confirm he's gone 7th. India's gone 8th. Czech Republic now 9th and Pakistan 10th, but it's still Malaysia on top. Australia have just gone 4th, by the way, ahead of the United States.
So let's look at China and what Peng Tong is going to do. So China on a flying lap in through this sequence of 3 corners, 1, 2 and 3. And the exit of the corner, you can run the curb, but you don't want to go any more than that. There's a drop off on the outside of the curb, then you hit the grass. But a good exit for Team China.
Yeah, Ho Ping Tung has been pretty much on the pace so far this weekend. Let's see if he can get it together. There's a car ahead, but hopefully that gets well out of the way. And he's on a clear lap still, so that wasn't a problem for Ho Ping Tung. Best that he's qualified is 6th, but China's best performance of the year, 4th place, and that was in the Czech Republic at Brno. So China continuing on their way. Let's see whether he can manage to go into that top group. Malaysia currently fastest from Germany and Portugal. And Malaysia's opening salvo, they're very impressive. We do know they were on new tyres. I suppose it may be possible that the others, not all of them are.
They may well have used a very fresh set of used tyres rather than a set that because most people this morning did not run new tyres. Well, that's what's China coming around. Again, you've got this baseball stadium, so you cannot see the exit of the corner until you get to here. And of course, by that stage, if anything ever has to be an adjustment, it's a very late adjustment. China goes 7th, 1:27.747.
So a reasonable first run, but it doesn't challenge neither Malaysia nor Germany. Here's now New Zealand, Black Beauty, on track. Always watch this car when you get into qualifying. They've had a fantastic sequence.
7th, 27.7. Now that clearly was not a new tyre run. May well have decided to hold back, wait to see how the circuit has changed since we stopped after the 3rd official practice session this morning. And there's the answer, New Zealand down in 7th. And that's a 1.225 second disadvantage So really, New Zealand will look to ditch this time and focus on the second, third and fourth qualifying segments.
Interesting strategies then. Some people going for new tyres, most particularly Malaysia, but many of the other teams deciding to use a used set of tyres on this first run and then save their new tyres for later. That was the Netherlands. This is Renger van der Zande, the first time that we've seen him in the car in qualifying. He's been impressive in the rookie sessions, but here's his big opportunity.
Big commitment going into turn 14. He came in very low, used part of the pit lane entry to get down low, ran it wide, comes across start finish line. 6th, 127.65, 645.
So again, that looks like it may have been used tyres because he was very rapid this morning, ended up with the second fastest time. Team Mexico just cruising round at the moment. Is he on an out lap or he's on his hot lap. Here's Salvador Duran. He's on his fast lap here.
So down into turn 4. One of those corners you want to... Oh, there's the shot of the weekend. Those are the feet of Salvador Duran. Left foot breaker, as you note, left foot on the brake, playing a bit like playing a piano, pedals on the piano.
It's great to see, and he's now coming into the long series of S-bend corners where a little bit of left foot braking there and then back on the power smoothly. Fun to watch. See how quickly he gets back on the throttle, how much brake he's applying.
Yeah, the car does not look stable. He had a slide coming through again, oversteer coming through turns 11 into turn 12. Watch the left foot, he's using it occasionally in those high, the quicker over the corners, just to get some stability. Now the foot's back off it until he comes up to the Peritalda. As he goes into that, he'll be hard on the brake. Here he comes, up into the corner now.
So he'll be braking a little bit into here, then he feathering the throttle. This is like a corner on an oval circuit, according to Alex Young. But this isn't, I don't think, going to be a particularly rapid lap. Let's just see where it puts him on his first run. Cross the line, he's 13th fastest for Team Mexico.
The car did not look stable to me through the sequence of corners we call the S's. He had to do in a couple of them at least that we saw make corrections, and therefore he was having to get out of the throttle to stabilise the car. You saw those onboard shots of how his feet were dancing around the pedal box, left foot breaker clearly, and what you can do with left foot braking is you can play the two pedals at the same time rather than having to lift the foot off the throttle to one to the brake. There's an advantage with left foot braking, but you have to be naturally good at it.
Two cars to set their times, and they're both potential pole winners. They are Brazil here on a fast lap and Great Britain. Great Britain leaving it to the very last gasp here to go out and do their lap. But Bruno Junqueira, the man who's raced here in champ cars in the past, I mean, good old look in his mirrors as he backed off.
He's backed off. Whether that's a problem for Brazil in this run or he's called that run off, I don't know. Another car followed him in. So we need to see where Team GBR are on this lap.
Yeah, that's an interesting
that's why he went off track. He went off track coming out of turn 3, and therefore I think the team have decided just to forget it. No point in continuing. We've got 3 more lights in the cherry, so let's stop, regroup and go again.
So Great Britain have left it to the very last moment of qualifying. Checker flag will come out at the end of this lap for Oliver Jarvis, but he's now on a mission, and let's see how fast he can be.
Just under a quarter of a second over the time of Malaysia. There's the checkered flag, and Oliver Jarvis into turn 6.
So he's been so neat and tidy this weekend so far. The temptation with this qualifying format is to overdrive the car. You only get one flying lap in each segment. Very easy to overdrive it rather than look for that flow and rhythm, but that's looking pretty neat and tidy there, I have to say.
Yes, he's coming through turns 9, 10 into 11, and again oversteer for Team GBR. Big commitment going through turns 10 and 11.
Oh, slide there too,
and then final turn 13. But the thing is, he's got now so much confidence in the car. He's prepared and happy to let the back of the car move around. He's not phased by other drivers will be straight out of the throttle and complaining about the ill-handling car.
I would guess this is a run on old tyres because his pace this morning would suggest he would certainly threaten for the fastest time on new tyres. Let's see what it is though. He's across the line and he goes second fastest to Malaysia. Great first effort by Ollie Jarvis for Team Great Britain.
Yes, that was a very good run. We believe that was on used tyres. You can see again the way the back of the car just started to slide around, but Jarvis is comfortable with that. Something that on a track like this, if you haven't got a comfort zone, you'll never ever manage to get the throttle open and keep it.
So were they on new tyres or used tyres, whatever, they've gone second quickest, which is a good effort. Germany third, Portugal fourth, France fifth, and then Australia, Italy, United States and Netherlands. Indonesia in 10th, New Zealand down in 11th, ahead of South Africa, China, Mexico, and then Switzerland with Canada well down, India and Ireland also well down, ahead of the Czech Republic, Lebanon and Pakistan. So that's how the 21 cars, with Brazil not having set a time potentially at the moment. Still 3 segments of qualifying to go. Anything can happen.
Yeah, interesting. Brazil flagged that run off because of the error with Bruno Junqueira coming out of turn 3. He ran the car wide, so they thought, let's come in, we'll keep that set of tyres, they'll be fresh. So even keeping maybe an extra couple of laps off the tyres, teams are prepared to do that.
Welcome back to A1GP Mexico, round 9 of the World Cup of Motorsport. Leading by example at the moment, Team Malaysia and Alex Young. An impressive drive, though, from Ollie Jarvis. It put him second. This is a second race start after a podium in Beijing. The young German Christian Vitros lies in third. So session 2, shortly to get underway. Let's take you back to the track and rejoin our commentary team of John Watson and Ben Edwards.
We're preparing for the second segment of qualifying to get underway here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. This huge conurbation of some 20 million people. We've got some fans here, racing fans here, and there is a lot of support for motorsport in this country. The Champ cars have raced here. NASCAR Busch Series raced here just a few weeks ago, and now it's the turn of A1GP. It's the second time A1GP has been in Mexico, but 12 months ago it was at a different circuit. It was in Monterrey. This time we've come to the former Grand Prix venue here in Mexico City, and there is the only driver of the field who's raced here, and that is Bruno Junqueira.
Yes, and with all that experience, all the knowledge of the racetrack, he still was the one driver that made an error that caught him out. That was sufficient for the team to say, right, Bruno, forget about it, come back into the pits, we've got 3 more opportunities. Well, I mean, you've got a lot of young drivers here who've got very little experience at all, let alone of driving an A1GP car, and they're not making mistakes. Bruno, what do you want to say about that?
Yeah, well, he's certainly capable of getting it all together, so we'll have to wait and see whether he does manage to do that. So we've got Pakistan out on circuit, and Australia also, interestingly, deciding to go out very early on in this session. Others are just waiting, biding their time, waiting for the opportunity to come out and do their one flying lap. Salvador Duran for Team Mexico is one of those. Look at that car. There's so many names on it this weekend.
Festooned in advertising, and well, good on Salvador Duran and the Mexican support that he's getting, because that's what we want to see in A1GP. As we look at Johnny Reed and David Sears. Now, they clearly ran on a new set of tyres, and you would expect Johnny Reed to be right up there, nudging the times of Malaysia. But of course, having Malaysia established a time, they're in a slightly more comfortable position than everybody else.
Yeah, they're all chasing now, aren't they? Pakistan about to come round and start their flying lap. Richard Lyons looking focused in the Team Ireland car. He's got to find a big chunk of time, because Ireland languishing down in 18th position. Last time out in Durban, they had their best qualifying performance of the year so far, and suddenly now it doesn't seem to be coming together for them.
Well, it's very strange. It's hard to understand, because I mentioned earlier that there's a bit of synergy between the Netherlands and Team Ireland, and for some reason the Netherlands have got the performance Ireland hasn't. And inevitably the focus will at some point or other end up on the driver, and I don't know whether Ireland are going down that route or not, but there's certainly some questions that have got to be answered, and that's got to be one of them.
Now watch this car, because Ian Dyke driving for Australia, the first time he's raced for them and qualified for them. He certainly attacks this track. He's fun to watch. He's not afraid of the car, he's not afraid of the track, and we've been enjoying him putting the wheel over the edge in a few places so far this weekend. That was a bit more neat and tidy.
Yes, and he again looks as if he's able to place the car in the corner precisely where he wants it to be. He is driving sometimes right on the edge, sometimes he's actually over the edge, but he's still got natural speed, and if you haven't got natural speed, it's hard to breed it into a driver. You can always sort of smooth off the rough edges. Ian Dyke is giving it the full bananas here this weekend, and I'm sure he's going to be entertaining as he comes through the S's. Team Australia's car, I have to say, as we're watching it right now, is looking a lot better than we've seen it over previous events, not just here in Mexico.
That's right. It looks as though they've made a lot of progress with the car. And Ian, the 21-year-old former motocross rider, you know, some people suggest that this track suits guys who are used to 2 wheels because of that rhythm and flow you need through that section.
And also, if you're a motocross motorcycle rider, those things are all over the place. I mean, they're never pointing in a straight line, they're usually up in the air anyway. Ian Dyke did get caught out a little bit coming through 13. He got caught out through 12. There he kicks the dust again on the exit of 14.
Yeah, he's used to doing that. Let's see, he goes fastest for now because, of course, remember, your two fastest times added together give you your aggregate time, and at the moment, they're all just adding in a second time. How quick was he?
He was a tenth of a second slower than his original run, so he did a 27.599 against a 27.449. So
that was the beginning of his hot lap.
Dear me. I mean, does he flirt with it?
He does that every time.
You wouldn't want to be his girlfriend, would you?
He does go for it, but I think there are times when he can perhaps just calm it down a little bit, and that surely must have cost him certainly hundredths of a second, if not a tenth or two.
It would have taken certainly a good tenth and a half, 2 tenths. If we look at South Africa, Adrian Zaag, again the back end of the car, just in the exit of the corner. It kicks out back to Nur Ali for Pakistan.
Team Pakistan has done its second lap now, so Nur Ali will be slowing down. Meanwhile, Adrian Zaag on this fast lap. Let's see if he can move up.
Adrian Zaag again out of 13, lets the car run right out, feeds the car up. He wants to maximise the exit speed, and with a restriction in horsepower due to altitude, you've got to free the car up at every opportunity to get the maximum speed off a corner.
Zaag does flirt with the edge a little bit, but it's at the end of his lap, so you understand that somewhat. He goes second for now behind Australia.
And that time was again just about a tenth of a second down on his first run. 27.7 contrasting to a 27.8. Watch the back of Zaag's car.
Oh, he picked up a bit of... it's just
that's a tear off from another driver's visor. Those little clear strips. So coming up was through turn 8 into turn 9. And Adrian Zaag fully committed back up to the speed that we watched and were so impressed by when he did his debut race for South Africa back in the Netherlands at the end of September, beginning of October.
That's right. Well, they were 12th after the first session. They now pop up to second, but remember, most people haven't completed their second lap yet, and you've got to add the 2 lap times together. Now, coming out towards us, Team USA there. This is the youngster, Jonathan Somerton, who suffered a big accident in Durban last time out, but thankfully, after initial concerns that he'd broken his wrist, they were proven unfounded, and actually he's fit and well and ready to do battle here this weekend.
Yes, and again, it's been very impressive. I think the essence of what we've seen here in Mexico, it is the younger drivers, it is almost the rookie drivers that are being the dominant drivers, because they're essentially getting out there and driving, not being too affected by the fact that there are compromises to be made. Alex Young, of course, is the exception to the rule. He's a much more experienced driver, and he used that to full effect, but it's the youngsters that are really snapping at his heels.
Yes, Jonathan Somerton here has... they had an engine change overnight. I know they're a lot happier this morning. They had better straight line speed, but he seemed to be struggling to get the balance of the car and felt a little bit of inconsistency, he felt, and just couldn't get quite happy with it this morning. 7 tenths down on the fastest aggregate time so far.
And just look at the amount of head shake and steering wheel shake. He runs right out, clips the verge on the outside of the corner. The throttle went into the brake.
Into Pelotana.
Very late on the brakes, down a gear, drives the car into the pit lane entrance, then runs back up and then runs out to the exit of the corner. Good exit speed for USA.
Yeah, looks like a pretty good exit. Let's see where this puts them. It puts them third for now, behind Australia and South Africa.
Yeah, slightly slower than the others. We've seen the other drivers do the second segment and be within a tenth of a second. For the USA, they lost probably the best part of 0.6 of a second on that second run.
Rick Feininger on the right-hand side, team seat holder there for Team USA. Got a new sponsor on the car in Burger King, so they'll be hoping for a good result here.
Well, look at this, Salvador Duran from Mexico. He is wringing the neck of that car. He is a strong driver, runs right, and again on the edge of the 13. And listen to here, he goes up into the final corner.
Let's see how this one goes then. Oh, it's a slight problem there on the picking the picture up. He's picking back up again through Peraltada. Is this going to bring Mexico back up the order? This is what the fans are hoping for, cheering him round the track. Where does it put him? It puts him second to Australia.
And that was a better lap than his first runner. 27.7, the first one, 27.6. So one of only 2 drivers out of the top 6 have actually gone quicker on their second runs than they did on their first.
Still waiting for the front out though. Those are Malaysia, Great Britain, Germany. All waiting for those so far. Australia, the top of the top 6 to have set a second time. So now Australia will sit and wait for them to come out and see how they reply. And Ananda Mikkola, he goes 4th for Indonesia. That's a good effort.
Yes, also he exited the corner much later than others we've been seeing. So different car set up for Indonesia and benefiting from them. And up to 4th place again, just about a tenth and a bit second slower than his first run.
Yeah, so he was 10th after the first segment of qualifying. He couldn't hold that sort of position, I think, again, once all the times are in. back onto the straight. Germany's out there, but it's the Czech Republic on a hot lap at the moment. Jarek Janis, let's see whether he's dragged a little bit more speed out of this car. But Germany, no, was on a hot lap's gone fastest. Germany's just gone quickest, and the Czech Republic goes 8th.
So that lap for Germany, again a tenth of a second down, but consistency from Germany puts them quickest of all. We still wait to see what's going to happen. And it's Jung from Malaysia goes out, but a young German driver replacing another young German driver. This is Christian Vittoris. It's not Nico Hülkenberg. Familiar car, unfamiliar driver, but outcome no different.
Yeah, pretty similar, isn't it, at the moment? It is. He's fastest. India. Here's Narain Karthikeyan. Can they find a little bit of pace here? Desperate to move up the order. They go 9th for the moment.
And he also improves significantly. He improves by 0.9 of a second over his first run. So Karthikeyan, he might dismiss that first run and build on it in the third segment and try and consolidate on that little 1:27 time.
So it's Germany, Australia, Portugal, Mexico, Indonesia. That's the top 5, but keep an eye on Renger van der Zande here for Team Netherlands. Could expect them to perhaps pop into the top 7 or 8. He was 9th after the first segment of qualifying.
Yeah, 1:27.6 was his lap, so let's see whether he improves on it or he consolidates. He certainly needs something in that zone to bring him up to the sort of level that would put him into the top 4 or 5.
Out of Pereltana, fast corner, no chicane to deal with on the way in, which is sometimes used, and across the line he goes. Netherlands 8th fastest with that.
Well, that was disappointing, 1:28.1 against a 27.6, so Renger van der Zande will think about it and say, well, qualifying 2, that was no use to me.
Now here's our new Frenchman, Jean-Carl Vernet, who put in a respectable effort actually. He was 5th quickest in that first segment of qualifying, and the blue, white and red colours of Team France, which we've seen so successful in A1GP, and yet they haven't won a race in this second season so far. It's a tall order to ask a young man who's not even done a season of Formula 3 yet, but he's doing well so far.
Well, a 1:27.4 was his lap. If he's on that same set of tyres, I suspect that France are running him for this second qualifying segment on that set of tyres he ran the first one on, so expected to be marginally slower. But for a young driver, very little experience in cars of this performance, he's done a very powerful job for France.
Yeah, he looks composed and confident, speaks a reasonable amount of English. He's not completely fluent yet, but the 20-year-old certainly impressing people with his smoothness and consistency this weekend so far. Let's see if he can keep it up. Good neat line out of Pereltana. Doesn't run wide. Let's see if this pops him up into 4th place. So it is another good effort.
Yeah, half a second down, but that's the difference between the tyre having run in the first qualifying segment and then being used and asked to perform for a second time. So good consistency from France to be 4th quickest.
There's the car of New Zealand really moving around. Look how wide there Johnny Reid goes on the exit of turn 13. He's hard on it.
But he's so confident in this car. He's been running. Oh, and there was a little bit of a check going into turn 14. He had to get out of the throttle. The car just stepped sideways, back on it again. That will shaved a couple of tenths off his lap. Let's see where it puts New Zealand.
He's certainly trying hard. Is it enough? No, he's 7th. It's only 7th fastest for New Zealand. Well, that is such a surprise.
But he almost matched his time. In fact, I think he probably would have matched it. His engineer Chris Corn looks down. David Sears looks slightly concerned now. He maybe expected more from his driver than that.
Germany, John, with their new driver Christian Vittoris, is fastest. New Zealand, who of course share the engineering setup with Germany and have got fed up with Nico Hülkenberg beating them all the time, they're 6 places behind.
Well, that's why he lost it, because he almost lost the back of the car. And that's in the early segment of the S's behind the pits. So a big slide from the back of the car. And again, you can just watch the back of the car still looking like it wanted to move around more than I think Johnny Reid for New Zealand would have cared for. Waiting for Malaysia, and here GBR.
Yeah, late runs for Malaysia, Great Britain and Ireland. Ireland just heading out of the pit lane. Malaysia's just gone out. And Great Britain, as you can see, are now driving down pit lane. I mean, now that we've got this second set of times in, it does highlight just how fast Alex Young was on that first segment of qualifying. It was a breathtaking time. Now, the thing is, can he repeat it?
Well, if he's on the same set of tyres, no, he will not repeat it, but he's got such an advantage in hand. He was the only driver ever at any point to get into the 1:26s on the circuit. He did a 26.490. If he can do anything in a high 1:26s, he will be quids in.
He will, but Great Britain, of course, also in there with a chance. They were second to Malaysia after that first segment of qualifying. And currently it's Germany on top, who had been third behind these two. So it does look as though those 3 nations at the moment are the ones to watch. Malaysia, Great Britain and Germany. Germany's set their second time. We're now waiting for the other two to do likewise, and Malaysia's on the hot lap.
Yes, good clean entry and exit out of those 3 corners. Then the short run down into turn 4. You can brake very, very late into this corner. It's a very gentle entry. It guides you into the corner, but then it nips there, and you've got to get the speed off. You've got to get down a gear, then it's flat out. The power, there's so little power at altitude, you can nail the throttle, and you got nothing but traction.
Now the green showing that he's up on the aggregate time of Team Germany. There is the current fastest man, new face to A1GP, Christian Vittoris. He looks pretty composed, doesn't he? But he's also aware that his fastest time is under threat from the yellow and white colours of Team Malaysia. But don't forget, Great Britain are also on track.
What you want to be able to listen to are the on-track microphones, the on-board microphone on the car, to hear how much throttle he's keeping open, and he's keeping it open quite a lot.
This is still going to be a very quick lap. You know, he's on up for another fast lap to further cement his advantage here. Malaysia through Perotada, the car moving around at high speed, but he's got it beautifully under control out of the final corner. Surely Malaysia going fastest here, but by how much? Yes, he does. And it's another 1 minute 26 second lap.
I said if he can do a high 26 to go along with that 1 minute 26.4, he will be in a very strong position, and he can come in at the end of the second qualifying segment pretty happy. He's got 1.197 of a second advantage over Germany.
Can Great Britain do something about that? It looks as though Oliver Jarvis might be the only one who's going to threaten Malaysia's advantage here. The checkered flag comes out, but Jarvis is on his hot lap. So is Team Ireland, by the way, just a little further up the road. So Great Britain the closest to challenging Malaysia. Again, look at the car move around.
Yeah, but it looks good, it looks positive. A little bit wide entering into, that was turn 11 to turn 12. Now coming towards us, turn 13 leads onto the back straight. Oliver Jarvis needs to get a low 1 minute 26 to put him right up and put pressure on Malaysia. Currently Malaysia are so far ahead of everybody else after 2 segments that really they don't have to do too much in segment 3 and 4.
So Jarvis through the final corner. Where's this going to put him? I think it will put him in the battle for second, but it's surely not enough to beat Malaysia. He goes third behind Germany. So that shows how quick Christian Vittoris is for Germany. Ireland crossed the line just then. They've gone 19th, but Great Britain down to third. They were second, and they've got a little bit of work to do here. But Malaysia's advantage, 1.1 seconds after 2 segments of qualifying.
Smart old guy, isn't he? I mean, if I talk about old, he's barely 30 years of age. Alex Young comes into the pits. They've done something to this car that has really got it hooked up with the track here. Local time just coming up to 10 to 3 in the afternoon. Temperatures are high, track temperatures are high, but they've got their car working, and they've got that 1.197 second advantage over Germany. Team GBR lost more on their second run than Germany did. That's why Germany has leapfrogged ahead of them.
Let's get down to the pits with news from Simon and Lee. Simon.
Yeah, Team Indonesia very pleased with how things have been going, and Ander Mikola told me earlier he was 23 kilometres faster through Perotada than Alex Young. Well, somewhere those fortunes have been reversed looking at the drive that Alex Young's put in so far. Just about all of the cars in the top end of the pit lane went out on old rubber on that session, and South Africa are probably the team in this half that are most disappointed. They had a new engine put in overnight, and it's even slower than the one they had yesterday, so they're pretty upset.
Welcome back to A1GP Mexico, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez playing host to the series this weekend. So far, it's not that team, it's Team Malaysia that continues to set the pace with Alex Young in the driving seat from Germany and GBR as well. They're all in the mix. Our commentary team of John Watson and Ben Edwards are going to guide you through sessions 3 and 4.
Ian Dyke's looking pretty happy too, isn't he, for Australia, currently 4th. Third segment of qualifying coming up soon. Ian Dyke for Australia in a superb 4th place so far, and that's certainly better than Australia has seen for quite a while in A1GP. Alan Jones's decision perhaps to bring Ian Dyke in from being the rookie driver to the race driver for the weekend seems to be working.
And there's no question about it that Carl Reisler in the car pretty much all the way through. And never really, other than that run in Beijing, he got himself onto the podium, but that was more, I think, a matter of survival than it was out and out pace. But Aindijk has got pace. He's also a big commitment race driver. Maybe that comes from his motocross background. He's not afraid to drive through a problem, and occasionally when chips are down, it is really left to the driver to drag that performance out. And certainly Aindijk, whether the car's any better or any worse than when Karl Reindler had it, I don't know, but certainly he's dragged performance out of it that Reindler did not.
It's interesting when you look at the times. We've got 1, 2, 3 rookies, I think, in the top 6 places on the grid, because we've got Ian Dyke there in 4th, we mentioned him, but the German, of course, Christian Vittoris, and the French driver, Jean-Carl Vernet. And it surprises me, because normally when you get new drivers into this qualifying system, they struggle with this particularly unique way of doing it.
Well, here's a question. Do you consider Oliver Jarvis or Team GBR a rookie?
Well, I was wondering. I nearly added him to that list, because he's never done a qualifying session.
No, he did the race in Beijing, but of course qualifying for a variety of reasons was based on a practice run which was very truncated because of situations beyond the control. Nevertheless, I mean, it's amazing. Alex Young, and Nur Ali, first driver in contact with the barrier.
Outlap. That wasn't even his hot lap. He was just gone out of the pits.
Well, that probably was his hot lap then.
I don't know what's happened there, but poor Nur Ali has come to a very short end to that third segment.
Red flag. I was going to say that probably will see a red flag. So will the clock stop? It's not. It's going to continue. Well, there's a real sort of spanner or maverick call, because it's been decided that in the interest of safety to everybody, the safety car and the medical car are being deployed, and they will get to that car. Nur Ali sits in it. Of course, he's just spun harmlessly and didn't keep the engine running, but they need to get this car removed to safety. Let's watch and see what happens. Well, I know what's going to happen. It's going to be a bit of oversteer, and there it is. That's in the middle of the S. It's probably up around about turns 9 and 10. And he just comes to a harmless stop against the side of the tyre wall, but that car will need to be removed to safety. Well, he was just so far off the line, he caught the grey, dirty part of the racetrack, and you're going to get a very distinct line developing over the weekend, because the blacker the tarmac, the more grip you're going to get. The lighter in colour, the more grey it is. Stay away. That is no man's land out there.
Absolutely right, and that's unfortunate. That was the out lap, so he was trying to get some heat in the tyres, trying to sort of get back into the rhythm of it all. Might have been on a used set of tyres, I don't know, but definitely, as you say, he was offline, ran wide, picked up the loose stuff, and that's sent him off. Now, as you say, the clock keeps ticking, so it will make the track more busy once they all get out there.
It's going to be great. Can't wait. Hope they get that car removed. With only about 3 minutes remaining, then we're going to see basically the 21 car field, because only one car was out on track. That was Team Pakistan. So if you've got, maybe, let's say, be generous, give them all 5 minutes. It's going to be absolute, great TV.
Yeah, good fun. Let's hope that they don't get this over too quickly, but obviously we want to see cars out there soon. They should be able to restart him, maybe give him a bit of a push, get the car fired up once again, and get him to head back into the pits. Another look at it once again.
Yes, you can see the dust there. He caught that with the right rear wheel, and it just, it harmlessly stops against the tyre barrier. There's been no damage to that car at all. But of course, the bottom of the car is caught there. You got, 5 or 6 fairly strong guys trying to push it, and they finally managed to get the underbody of the car, which was beaching it effectively. So now I've bump started. Nur Ali, get it into gear, son, and let's get this show back on the road.
Yeah, picked up a bit of grass. I think that's the closest we've seen anyone to actually hitting any of the barriers. He just sort of touched it. I don't know if it made much contact, but nobody else has actually gone off that far yet.
No, we've not really seen anybody manage to do what Nur Ali's just done. There have been a few occasions when drivers round about turn 4 and 5 have made errors, but fundamentally that's the first time we've seen somebody loop it and get caught. Just a very, very minor caress, I might say, of that tyre barrier.
He's fired it up.
He's got, yes, there we go.
Bump started and off he goes again.
I would reckon in about 1.5 to 2 minutes the track will be under green flag once again.
So it won't cost the other teams too much time. It hasn't affected them inordinately. Just makes their chance to get back out a little bit more compressed.
Yeah, Nur Ali weaving the car around to try and get those tyres as clean as possible. Of course, he's got an opportunity to go out and do another run. No, he doesn't.
No,
he did on his out lap. If he did it on his out lap, he hasn't completed a lap.
That's true, but I don't think he'll be allowed to have another run. I think that's
he's coming into the pits anyway, so as you would have to under a red flag. It'll be an interesting scenario to see whether his error on his out lap actually precludes him from running in the third segment altogether.
The announcement's been made that it's going to be just under a minute now until the session restarts. So I think we'll see a few teams getting ready now to come out for their third run, the third of 4 runs. Remember, it's Malaysia fastest, Germany second, Great Britain third, Australia an excellent fourth, then Portugal 5th, France 6th, Mexico, host nation 7th, Indonesia an excellent 8th, Fernando Mikola, but New Zealand surprisingly down in 9th place, South Africa in 10th, then it's the USA, China, Netherlands, Italy, India, Switzerland, Canada 17th, Czech Republic 18th, followed by Ireland, Lebanon, Pakistan and Brazil. Interestingly, Brazil has only done 1 lap so far. They aborted their first run. Where would their lap put them roughly, John, if they put 2 together?
I would say probably about 12th place, because there's a lot of people have recorded a lap in the 1 minute 27s, and the lap for Brazil was 1:27.7, so it's not even in the low 27, so I think he would have been outside of the top 10.
Well, we were expecting great things from Bruno Junqueira with his track knowledge, but of course he's got less experience in an A1 car than most of the other guys out there. Not all, because we've got a few rookies doing well today, particularly Germany. Christian Vittoris, he's top rookie at the moment in 2nd place, and Ollie Jarvis going out much earlier this time.
Yes, and that's a questionable judgment, because if you go out very early, by the time the bulk of the field decides to make it out, you may find yourself running into them as they are on their out laps, and of course traffic in a qualifying lap is an absolute no-no. You want to have an entire clear lap, otherwise you can pretty much kiss away any opportunity of an improvement.
As you say, he's never done one of these qualifying systems before, so it is fresh to him. He did say this morning a top 3 starting position would actually make him very happy. He knows that the way of qualifying here is particular in A1, and he felt that the car is quick enough in race conditions that if he starts somewhere in the top 3, he's got a real chance of victory.
Yes, he does, and I think he's also got his eyes set on actually competing in the final round of this 2nd series of A1GP at Brands Hatch at the end of April. And there's going to be a big battle going on Team GBR as to whether that privilege should go to Robbie Kerr, who's been pretty much the incumbent all the way through the 2 seasons of A1GP, or whether Oliver Jarvis will swing the favour of the management and the team.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting decision to be made. They're both such rapid drivers, both of course knowing Brands Hatch extremely well. Out onto track now, here comes China then. So we're seeing quite a few cars out. We've got India, Great Britain, Portugal, Czech Republic, Netherlands, Italy and Lebanon all out on circuit. Not New Zealand though. Johnny Reed's going to leave it a little later. But what is going on there? Down in 9th place. I'm not sure he's ever qualified off the first 2 rows this year, so things not quite working yet.
Well, I think the problem for Johnny Reed and Team New Zealand is that they probably have a reasonably good car. They were 4th quickest this morning. They did a 28.0 this morning. Of course, that was not on new tyres. The transition to new tyres may well have altered the balance of the car, and all of a sudden having to go read back and look over information and go through something, and maybe into areas they haven't even explored so far this weekend.
Great Britain on the hot lap then, so this is an early run from Team GBR.
But this is what I was concerned about. 2 cars, both of them are on out laps, so Oliver Jarvis, that's something he's going to have to contend with. He does not want to catch those 2 cars going through this next sequence of corners. He will lose the momentum, and the second of those 2 cars, I think, the first car he's going to beat might be South Africa.
He's just set a very rapid first sector time though. It's the fastest first sector time we've seen of anybody, and that includes Malaysia. So a very, very good start to the lap for Team Great Britain.
I think he's probably sufficiently far behind the South Africa car. There it goes through picture, that it should not come into play. Of course, South Africa will be wanting to get up to speed as well. So from this point onwards, as we come into the final corners on the S's, South Africa is now really out of the zone of having any interference with Team GBR. So a strong run. 31.5 was his best time in that 2nd sector. So he didn't get that purple on the computer, but nonetheless, having it in the 1st sector will help his cause.
Really getting down tight to the wall there on the inside apex, wasn't he? Much tighter than before, and he's right out to the edge on the exit. Let's see where this keeps it. Puts him 2nd now. He's ahead of Germany on a 1:27.1 individual lap time.
Yeah, not quite as quick as his best overall. That still lies in sector 1 when he did a 1:27.101. He then in the 3rd one did a 1:27.170, fractions of seconds, but it all counts when you add up together the 4 qualifying segments. You take your best 2, and that then is combined to give you your grid time.
Portugal's gone up to 4th as a result of that last run there, so a fairly even set of lap times from Alvaro Parent, of course, who only returned to the series last time out in Durban.
Well, kick the dust up big time coming out of turn 13, round the car, all 4 wheels in that access part of the racetrack into the back of the paddock. So Alvaro Parent very, very committed. The now South Africa.
Yeah, how's South Africa getting on here? This is Adrian Zout, still recovering from that operation on his forearms. His arm's still not up to full strength as yet, but he's certainly pushing hard. He's been doing a lot of testing recently and reckons that's the only way to get fully fit. And currently he's 11th quickest. Can they find a bit more time in this third segment of qualifying?
Well, he does show a lot of commitment, Adrian Zout. Again, like many of the drivers, finding that running very wide in the exit of turn 13 allows him to pick up a few, literally it'll only be hundreds of RPM. But then you've got to get the car stable into turn 14 and then drive the car hard through the last sector of the corner.
That's a fabulous corner to watch the car working so hard. Let's see, and he moves up to 7th. It's a good effort from Adrian Zout.
Best lap of the 3 that he's so far put in, so 27.7, 27.8, 27.5, so he can dump the middle one. He's got 2 times that to give him his 4th row of the grid starting position provisionally.
Germany. Now, he's got big sideways there, and he was on such a good first sector time as well.
I don't know how he got sideways there, because it's almost impossible coming out of turn 5 to get sideways, but young Christian Vitoros did do so, and that will have knocked a couple of 3/10 off that sector time for the German currently, with 2 times which had him ahead of GBR. GBR completing their 3rd run we watched with Germany midway round the back of the circuit. Other traffic ahead of him, hopefully that will not be a factor. It's Johnny Reid for Team New Zealand. These 2 cars, Germany and New Zealand, are sister nations in terms of engineering.
Yes, that's right. Indonesia, by the way, has just gone 7th quickest. That's a good effort from Ananda Mikkola. They qualified better last time in Durban. Suddenly Ananda Mikkola's looking like he did when he was on form last year. Let's see if this keeps Germany, puts them back into 2nd maybe, or will they stay in 3rd place now? Cross the line, yep, stays 3rd, so Great Britain have definitely gained that place.
Interesting, Germany had that quickest run in that 3rd sector, but they didn't regain that 2nd place, so 1:27.156, and it was really the run. Let's watch again.
This
coming out of turn 5. I think it was just careless. He ran the car too wide. He was just not paying attention. So, I mean, that part of the circuit, it is the easiest part of the racetrack. Locks up the inside wheel. In spite of all that, he still records his fastest single overall lap. But Great Britain did enough in their 1st sector to combine that with their 3rd sector to get back ahead of Germany. So it's a battle for Germany for 2nd and 3rd on the grid.
Now France has got some work to do because they've qualified well earlier on. Oh, he's driving it hard, but Italy's improved in the meantime. So now Italy's up to 6th, Indonesia 7th, South Africa's also improved. This has all pushed France down to 9th. They were 6th a little while ago. So here we are. Jean-Carl Vernet has plenty of work to do.
Well, Brazil, Junqueira has done a lap. He's got himself up into 13th place, which is about where I predicted that he'd run. The 1st sector he would be roughly 12th or 13th.
Still on board, the French car, 5th gear, up to 6th briefly along here, and then watch as he comes into pedal tada, car coming in the pits. Feathers the throttle, and then full on and correcting the car. You've got to commit right out to the edge. Good driving style there, but will it move him back up? Yes, he's back up to 5th place. Great effort from Jean-Carl Vernet.
Well, 3 young drivers out there, Germany, France, and of course Oliver Jarvis with Team GBR, all performing in the top 6. Eindijk down to 6th place. Again, a great run from Australia, and Eindijk really, I think there'll be a bit of a head scratching in the Australia camp saying, well, why did we not give this youngster a run much earlier? Not the end of the season yet, but they might have put him in a bit earlier and benefited from his pace.
Now then, do you think Malaysia can go even faster than they have done already? He's the only driver still in the 1:26s, pretty much.
I think what they might do is run used tyres just to see where they are. They've got a 9/10 of a second, 8/10 of a second advantage. Quickest in that 1st sector again of anybody. Maybe he's on new tyres. Maybe they want to get this job over and done with. If they do it sufficiently well, they may not even have to run in the 4th segment.
That's right, they might save some tyres and not do the 4th qualifying segment.
Car looked very good going through turn 6. He did what I suggested you do in the track facts. You make turn 6, which is 2 parts into a single nice constant arc, and he's looking strong. Alex Young has not looked as strong as this since I think back in Brno.
Yeah, that's when he took a couple of victories, and look at it, it's a good lap coming up here. This will put him further ahead of anybody else. He's currently the leader by 3/4, just over 8/10 of a second from Great Britain and Germany, but this could just open up that gap a little more. Keeps it quite high through that pedal tada corner, and let's see how fast he can be as he comes up across the line. So neat and tidy. He goes out to the edge, but he doesn't run onto the dirt. Stays quickest. It's another 1:26 lap.
Well, I think he's got this all over, and 3 laps all in the 1:26, and the gap is now 1.133 of a second.
Fantastic, brilliant effort by Alex Young for Team Malaysia on top at the moment. Let's see where Mexico comes from here. They're currently 13th. Can Salvador Duran get the host nation further up the order? Try and get into the top 10. Yeah, he's up to 8th. Good effort.
Yes, 27.257. Again, third segment, fastest lap overall for Mexico.
So he's up there, but he's still being outpaced by the youngster at Team France. So that's a bit of a surprise when you think how far Salvador Duran has been at many of the tracks we've been to. Ireland down in 20th at the moment. Can they get something here with another flying lap?
Well, Ireland have not improved their 20th. Canada went through there, it's still 19th. So both Canada and Ireland really struggling with their our engineering sisters, I should say, are much further up the grid.
That is astonishing, and well, hopefully they'll find an answer to that later on. Team Netherlands struggling a little bit compared to their practice performances. They're down in 16th place currently. Checkered flag is out on this session, and I think all have finished their runs. Malaysia stay on top from Great Britain and Germany, and Portugal, France, the United States, John, they've popped up to 6th, and that's sort of gone by the by. We didn't really see that.
We didn't catch that lap of Jonathan Somerton, and that's another very strong lap, 127.363. So the young American driver on the third row of the grid alongside the young French driver. We've got the slightly more mature Portuguese driver on the second row of the grid over the young German driver, and on it goes. But it is actually, at the end of the day, maturity and experience from Malaysia, Alex Young, who has consolidated and in fact further rubbed salt into everybody's wounds by benefiting by a 1.133 second advantage after 3 segments of qualifying. And it'll either be, in my view, Great Britain or Germany. There's still a possibility, a very faint possibility, we could see the Netherlands nudge into the top 6. They're way down in 16th place, but their second and third qualifying runs have been way off the pace that they achieved in the first one. But don't discount the Netherlands getting a top 6 starting position.
Right, that's one to watch for, but at the moment there's no doubt about Kingpin here. It is Team Malaysia and Alex Young, who has set a series of blistering times around this Mexico City track. He loves the place, obviously. They've got a great setup, and it's Malaysia on provisional pole from Great Britain in second place, Germany in a fine third with their new driver, Portugal in fourth, France with a youngster there in fifth, and USA, another youngster, Jonathan Somerton, a great return from the accident in Durban. Australia with their new boy up in 7th place ahead of Mexico, Italy and Indonesia, some more regular campaigners. And then we've got South Africa, China, New Zealand. What is going on for New Zealand? Down in 13th place, only ahead of Brazil, the Czech Republic, the Netherlands, who do, as you say, have one good time in the bank, and they need another one coming up. India's well down, so is Switzerland. Then we've got Canada, Ireland, Lebanon and Pakistan. There's still plenty of work to do for some of those teams. Well, this is a fun qualifying session, but you can't doubt the man who's on top. It is Alex Young for Team Malaysia. Really now, as you said, it's about the battle for second place. But GBR, with that tremendous race pace they showed in practice this morning, they'll be relatively happy with where they are. Oliver Jarvis in his first ever qualifying run, potential front row start.
Yes, and of course same for Christian Vitoris for Germany, and there's just a 1/10 of a second over the 3 qualifying segments between Germany in third, Great Britain in second. So literally the front row of the grid, I think it's locked out from Malaysia, the pole position, but the second position on the front of the grid is open for grabs between principally Great Britain and Germany. Don't discount Portugal. They've got a good run in that first segment, 127.3, but I think they would need to dig deep, probably get into the 1:26s if they're really going to challenge for that front row grid position.
Another great run by Portugal. I know he's got more experience than some of those around him, but nonetheless, Alvaro Parent, who hasn't been in the car for a while until he came back in Durban last time, has performed well. He's 4th quickest at the moment, and we could perhaps expect to see more from him. Mexico, they did jump up to 8th there, but still some work to do for Salvador Duran. We've got the experienced Enrico Toccacello for Italy in a slightly threatening 9th place. Again, he's got a couple of good times in there, but the question is, can he get one more blistering lap in to move further inside the top 10? And Indonesia certainly have made that step. Durban was better, and again they're 10th currently at the moment.
Well, he was saying some 24, 28 kilometres per hour quicker in that final turn than Alex Young for Team Malaysia. Well, if he is, he must be losing a bunch of time, but we have Alex Young on pole position. We've got Ananda Mikola down in 10th place, and it's that 10th place for Indonesia that must give them some show of promise.
Well, plenty to look forward to as we prepare now for that final 15-minute segment of qualifying. Beautiful weather conditions. We're all set to go for the final segment of qualifying here at the Hermano Rodriguez circuit. Let's get down to the pit lane and join Lee McKenzie.
Christian, you must be very happy with how things are going so far.
Yeah, I had a little mistake now in the second session, so position 2 is possible.
Well, good luck for the next one.
Thank you.
There you are. That's our first opportunity really to hear from our new German driver, Christian Vitoris. Short but sweet, and he's only going to be 18 years old next week. He's a real youngster.
I think he might get a razor for his birthday because I'm sure he doesn't shave.
It is amazing how these youngsters come into this series and perform at such a high level. And I was looking at the notes, John, and looking over the 2 seasons of A1GP we've had, with a few drivers joining in this time. We've now breached the 90 drivers mark in A1GP over less than 2 seasons. It just shows you this series brings so many new drivers into a high level of international motorsport.
It's done that, but I think what really is the key is the fact that this is a sport about nations. It's not about individual drivers or drivers within teams. And of course you can mix and match any number of different drivers, either as rookies or as your permanent seat. And if you don't like the shape or the size of one driver, you can say, right, we'll get another one. And of course many drivers come to take, for example, in the case of Lebanon, Alam Akoudir, who is Lebanese, but he actually probably was born in Brazil of a Lebanese family. So you've got a little bit of license, and where in fact the driver of a nationality may actually have been born, as long as his parents are originally of that nationality.
Yes, the onboard camera with Mexico, and of course the feet are not on the pedals at the moment because he's sitting in pit lane.
That's right. So a great coming out, one of the best cockpit shots that I think I've ever seen, and interesting to watch how the feet of Salvador Duran literally modulate the pedals, and again the use of both of the brake and the throttle. He's using brake and throttle through the S's around the back of the circuit. He wants to keep the engine on song, particularly here where we're losing a lot of horsepower due to altitude. So you can keep the engine up in the rev range, but just check the speed by left foot braking. It can be a help to you.
There's Jonathan Somerton, the youngster driving for Team USA. Drove well in Durban, but then crashed out. Little mistake that he made, and it just caught him out. That was his first race meeting as a driver. He'd raced competed as a rookie, which meant he just did the Friday morning sessions in several events. But showing well again today. He's only 18 years old. He's only competed really in the Euro Series F3 Championship in the past, and yet he's performing well here. Currently 6th quickest for the United States.
Once again, Noor Ali from Pakistan out on track, and it's coming up to the corner, that quarter mile in the 3rd segment. He keeps the car a lot closer. In fact, he decides to ride the curb a little bit just to make sure he has got the car where he wants it. Oh, Noor, be very careful. You did it wrong in the corner a couple of corners ago. You could have got caught there again. So on his lap, swings through turn 13, pulls another gear, probably into 5th gear, and the run up into turn 14.
Yeah, he's actually on his hot lap already because he went out pretty early on in this session, so he's going to finish off his hot lap. Before he had that incident in the 3rd segment, he'd actually been on a fairly even footing with Lebanon. I think this won't really allow him to challenge Lebanon any further. Let's just see as he comes across the line. He does a 1:31. In fact, that's his slowest lap of the 3 he's done.
I mean, I suspect that the set of tyres that he was on in the segment 3 with the one that he lost the time for during that spin, so the best of the tyre has been used up. And of course, when you spin a car and the fresher the tyres, they lose that edge very quickly.
Nice new tyres on the Australian car though, big shine from those. And Ian Dyke, who's already 7th on the grid. Good opportunity perhaps if he's got some new tyres there to move up. The best they've qualified this year is actually 6th. So if they could do better than that, that would be something pretty special.
Yes, and that was
yeah, it was Ryan Briscoe.
Ryan Briscoe,
yeah, who did that.
On to other race series. So good opportunity for Australia. Their previous fastest was in that first sector, 1 minute 27.4. So Ian Dyke, who's not afraid to turn the steering wheel and open the throttle and literally just wring its neck. He's not afraid to go on the grass. And now I understand that he was a motocrosser. No wonder he rides the grass all the way down the pit straight. He's familiar with it.
Yeah, he feels more comfortable doing that, I think. Well, let's see whether he can improve on 7th position. It is a great effort from Ian Dyke. It's going to boost the morale of the Australian team hugely. For once, they're ahead of their big rivals, New Zealand, of course, and quite a few places ahead because New Zealand down in 13th.
Well, that really, I think, is probably the surprise overall in this qualifying session so far. And we don't really understand why, other than there has maybe been a change in track conditions there. Here's Johnny Reid. You can see the look of perplexion on his face as he talks to the team on the pit wall and wondering, what have we done wrong? Where have we gone wrong? I mean, they've been so much on top of running pretty much all through the series. Chris Gorn, the engineer who works directly with Johnny Reid, talking to him, and all the chips are down now, and you've got to get out and perform.
They have a good relationship, those two, so if any pairing can work it out, I'm sure they will. There's briefly, that was Jean-Carl Vernet sitting in his car. We go to another blue, white and red car, the Czech car of Yanis Yarak, or Yanis I should say, Yaroslav Yanis. He's doing well, but they like to find a bit of pace. He's qualifying in a provisional 15th currently. Now, here we go. How wide? Oh, he's a bit less wide that time.
I was going to say, here comes our grass cracker, motocrosser Ian Dyke, and runs down this long 1.1 kilometre straight. You sit in the car, you think, when is it ever going to end? And well, eventually it does come to an end. You've got braking markers at 250, 200, all the way down into 50 metres. And I suspect that Ian Dyke, along with many of the others at the front, are braking probably around about 100 metres. And well, he didn't need to do that, though he kept it very much in check. And again, on the exit of turn 3, lets the car run slightly wayward. So maybe a case of maybe overdriving rather than just doing what he did so supremely in those first 3 segments to get himself up to 7th quickest overall.
Yeah, but he does attack, and that's what it's good to see. It's good to see him really give it a go. He does make the odd mistake, but that's because he tries hard, and you can't blame him for that. He looks pretty neat and tidy through what's called the hairpin. It is, as you say, sort of double right, but taken as one corner. And now he's out through the first of these sweepers. Looks as though there was a touch of understeer in that first one.
Well, it's just a question of whether this is the new set of tyres and the balance that you get with the new set of tyres over the tyres that you ran on the previous Sunday. I mean, engineers, teams are 1.6 seconds away. Teams and drivers are working very closely. They're making changes all the time. Look at that, right out of a 13, way out to the right.
He's not too far off though, he had a very good first sector time, and then if he's 1.6 off, that might just move him up a place or two.
He needs to improve on his current fastest of 27.4 to see any improvement, so we wait and see what he does. It's going to be 127, but it's a 27.890.
No, so despite his best efforts there, and of course he did kick the dust up a little bit on that last corner, I'm glad to say, but he didn't improve on 7th place.
No.
Nonetheless, good effort from him.
Yes, it was, but that little bit of slipping and sliding going through turns 2 and 3 shaved away those tenths of seconds, so I doubt whether he was going to make any significant inroads into certainly the top 4, but he could have maybe sneaked up to 7th, or his 7th, up to 6th, certainly putting USA under pressure.
Here's an Andy Mikkeluk, one of the bravest drivers out there. He loves these fast corners, and he's coming into one now, the last right-hander. Pelotana, he's got big commitment, and he's right down to the inside there.
I don't wonder he's quick round it, because he's using the pit lane entrance as part of the racetrack. He gets the car almost hugging the barrier in the early part of the corner.
He stays 10th though, there's no improvement on the lap despite his best efforts. Nonetheless, that matches his best if he can hold on to 10th. Just depends if the likes of South Africa, China, New Zealand behind him actually do improve in this final qualifying segment. The sun has come out a little bit more, it is a bit bright, it could be a bit warmer now.
Well, here's the provisional pole sitter. Down the end of the straight, watcher Alex Shung negotiates his way around turns 1. Let's see in turn 2, no wasted energy. A bit of understeer in the middle of turn 2, but nothing that's really going to be critical to consolidation of his provisional pole.
Lovely exit though, he was on the curb, but the forward momentum always dragging him out of the corner. And now he's into this sequence, the left and then the right. Try and keep it tidy.
Slightly wide coming through that turn 4, let the car get a little bit too much to the centre of the road. Nevertheless, Alex Shung has got so much in hand that he doesn't really need to try particularly hard, and he hops a bit over the curb.
Gather that he is on the used set of tyres, which is pretty much as we expected.
Yes, it is, and I think you'll see this will be the slowest of the 4 runs that Alex Shung has competed in this afternoon, but he's got that advantage. He established it in the first qualifying segment, consolidated in the second and third, and really just sitting back and keeping a weather eye on what everybody else is doing. But really, to me, he's unchallenged for pole position for tomorrow's sprint race.
Absolutely, he's in great shape, goes past the Indonesian car, who cuts back to take the pit lane entry here. Malaysia keeps it quite wide. Notice how he doesn't get down over that white line. Quite a different line chosen by him.
Very much so, but let's see what he does.
Across the line then, he's on pole already. This won't, of course, stretch his advantage any further, and that's down in the 128.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it didn't look anything at the level that we saw in those first 3 segments, so let's look again. again and see Alex Young. This is in turn 4. That's where I thought he missed the corner completely. There you can see suddenly gets lots of lock on. Look how dirty the racetrack is. That's rubber that's been literally shredded off the turf of the tyres. We're going to see lots more of that come into play in Sunday's two events.
He's on for a potential improvement here, is Team China. Ho Ping Tong, he's down in 12th place at the moment. This could be an improvement. Let's see if this does bring them up. Yes, 10th position. Good effort by Ho Ping Tong.
Not quite as fast as that, but just a few hundredths of a second away if you watch South Africa. So South Africa currently in 12th place, directly behind Indonesia. They were displaced by China, who've taken that 10th, 5th row grid position.
This is going on to his hot lap. This is right at the start of it. So a little bit of a lock-up on the right front.
Yes, again, just gets the power on. He's hard on the throttle. He's very aggressive in a way that he puts the throttle pedal. He doesn't squeeze it. He just slaps it open. And they got a bit of an oversteer coming through the exit of turn 1.
No doubting his courage either. He's got a few cars further ahead of him, but hopefully that won't cause a problem in the next sequence of corners. Don't really want to catch anybody at this section.
Well, he's got the Netherlands, I think, directly ahead of him, and that's probably on an outlap. So he's not really going to want to be getting into play with these cars as he comes into the S. As the Netherlands car, I think, pulls over and lets South Africa go through. Yes, in fact, that's what's happened. Yes, China coming in.
Yeah,
so the China car got out of the way.
Yeah, that's right. Netherlands didn't improve on their final run, by the way. They're still down in 16th, so they were never able to add to that first lap time they did.
And that's another strange performance along with New Zealand. The Netherlands' second quickest this morning, Renger van der Zender, who will start the sprint race, then hand the car over to Jerome Blegemolen for the feature race.
They're really kicking up the dust coming out of turn 13 now. All trying to gain just a few hundredths of a second. Zhao for South Africa here through the final corner. Can this bring him back up a little bit? He's in 12th position. I'm not sure it's going to be enough to move ahead of Indonesia and China. Oh yes, he does actually. Squeaks into 10th place, so that was a very useful lap by Adrian Zhao.
Well, that I think is what he really needed to do. Here we go on board with Christian Vitoris. Again, running behind his sister, not really nation, but engineering nation, let's put it that way. So New Zealand, and this is certainly going to affect Germany because he will be affected aerodynamically, and also just simply by having a car directly ahead of you does have a concentration factor.
Can Germany reclaim that second spot?
26.8!
They have! Germany goes second with Christian Vitoris and the team clapping there because they've got another superstar amongst them.
I mean, he's the only driver so far of those that we've seen in qualifying for segment 4 to have gotten into the 126, a 26.828. That is a stunning run from the young German. And I mean, you can see on the pit lane the German team absolutely over the moon. But contrast that with New Zealand, who are now on their right lap. Well, it'll be a long pull-face Johnny Reid if he can't get into a low 1 minute 26 to try and drag something out of his qualifying. Here we go. Well, we're just going to look at it into turn 4. So unfortunately back into the pit lane with Mexico. We're preparing to go out for their final run.
17-year-old Christian Vitoris of Germany. New tyres there on Mexico as he heads out of pit lane. What a run from Germany. They're second currently. They've reclaimed that spot from Great Britain.
New tyres also from Great Britain, so this is going to be a battle between Great Britain and Germany once again. Germany seized the advantage with that stunning 1 minute 26.8. Oliver Jarvis, who's been right on it all weekend. Johnny Reid flirts again coming out of turn 13, and it must be a really difficult situation for New Zealand. There's no time coming. This car has been absolutely magnificent up until the qualifying segment, and it's just gone away from them.
What has happened to New Zealand? I'm not sure. He's going to cross the line. It's not going to be a big improvement. Nah, he stays 14th on a 127.845. It's the first time he won't start on the first 2 rows of the grid.
And that lap was almost a fraction of a second, 2 seconds slower than Germany.
Astonishing. Don't understand it at all. Malaysia are happy. They don't mind. Alex Young, got a smile from him. He's in a very commanding position, but it's the battle for second that we're focused on. Switzerland are way down the order. Marcel Fassler really finding a little bit of a tall order to get to grips with the car here in Mexico City this weekend.
Yeah, sliding it through turn 4. The whole 4 wheels were sliding. At least it wasn't one end or the other. It was a complete 4-wheel slide, but of course that indicates that overall you're not generating the grip that you need to, particularly as you go through this technical section of the circuit.
Quick note, John, Brazil have finally brought something here because Bruno Junqueira for Brazil's popped up into 6th place. Much more the sort of form we were expecting from him, and he's delivered in the final segment.
Certainly did, and that makes up for that disappointment. Oh dear me, running right out and too far. Marcel Fassler for Switzerland really almost had 4 wheels on the grass. before he exited turn 13.
Well, he's been racing touring cars in recent years. He's used to using lots of grass and curb. Let's see as he comes out, runs it right to the edge, but will it improve his position? Just one place, he goes up to 18th. So Switzerland across the line, but that's not where they're accustomed to starting. And USA's had an off.
GB's on, so USA indeed, I beg your pardon. Looking at the blue and white and red, we've got 3 cars with those colours, because Great Britain are out on track, or going out on track. France is going to go out, and this is the USA. So USA can do nothing now. They're going to be at best in 7th place in the grid.
So it's about what Mexico can do. Mexico on a hot lap, getting held up there, I'm afraid. That's going to cost them, I think. Great Britain also on a hot lap, and I wonder whether Great Britain can reclaim that 2nd place from Germany. France are looking pretty good for 4th at the moment, with Portugal behind them as well.
So we're still on board with Salvador Duran, but a little bit of break up around the back of the circuit as he comes up to these final 2 corners that lead on to the back of the straight. We go back to Team GBR and Oliver Jarvis. He's got to do it if he wants to put his car back up onto the front row of the grid to displace Germany. Christian Vitoris.
Not sure he's doing quite enough here, looking at the times coming through on the sectors. I'm not sure it's quite, but wait and see, because we're looking at the sector times compared to Malaysia's time. That's not so relevant. What is relevant, and how does it compare to Germany's time? He's trying to get 2nd place back. Can Great Britain get back onto the front row here, or will it go to Germany? Cross the line he goes. What's the time? Waiting, he stays 3rd, and Germany, the new driver for Team Germany, has held on to 2nd place.
Well, that's an outstanding performance from basically the front 2 rows of the grid. Mexico, we didn't see that time. Mexico has put themselves onto the 2nd row of the grid, 4th quickest. So Salvador Duran, in spite of getting held up around the lap with a car in turn 6, has done what the crowd have come here to support. Mexico, they're in with a big shot in the sprint race. 2nd row of the grid, they'll start directly behind Germany in the front row.
Well, it's so close in that section of the grid. Salvador Duran found just enough there to move up to 4th and displace France and Portugal. But they needed that so desperately. This was the area of the track on which he got held up. And in fact, I suppose that wasn't a bad effort. He dived down the inside, probably didn't lose him too much time as a result of the American car doing well to move out of his way. So Jonathan Somerton did do well. In fact, Somerton didn't complete his lap, interestingly, so he didn't get a 4th segment time in. Let's just quickly take you through what's happened there. Malaysia dominating qualifying. Germany, the nation that leads the points, and who David Sears said earlier to me, he'd be very happy if their new driver qualified somewhere in the top 6. They've qualified 2nd. Great Britain, a superb 3rd with Oliver Jarvis completing his 1st ever qualifying session in A1. And Mexico, host nation, dragging out a performance that the crowds will really support when it comes to Sunday's race. They're going to start on the 2nd row. France and Portugal due to start on the 3rd. Let's take a more detailed look at it then. You've got Malaysia and Germany up front, with Great Britain and Mexico on the 2nd row. Then the 3rd row will see France and Portugal together, and the 4th row, after a late surge there by Brazil, Bruno Junqueira will start 7th, ahead of the United States nearest they get to home, and that was great stuff from Jonathan Somerton. Ian Dyke for Australia, a good strong 9th, ahead of Enrico Toccagello for Italy. Then behind them we've got South Africa and China. On the 7th row we'll see Indonesia and, amazingly, New Zealand. On the 8th row there'll be the Czech Republic and the Netherlands, and then India and Switzerland. Row number 10 sees Canada and Ireland, and at the back we'll have Lebanon and Pakistan.
The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City hosting A1GP this weekend. Team Malaysia has pole for race day. Alex Young not putting a foot wrong around that track today. Confirmation then of how it looks for tomorrow's sprint. Malaysia on pole. Alex Young's 4th pole in this series so far. Germany in 2nd with the new man in the driving seat. New boy, I should say, just 17 years of age, Christian Vitoris. And Team GBR with Ollie Jarvis in the driving seat in 3rd spot. OK, let's get the thoughts from Tony to those qualifying sessions, starting at the beginning with session 1, Tony, and let's talk about pole 1, Alex Young, because he was so fast from the outset, wasn't he?
It's funny, you know, this time he's managed to get the setup straight away, get it right. Because previously what he said is, you know, we take so long and we mess about changing the setup on the car. They've come here with the setup, they've stuck to their guns. They've obviously got a tremendous setup. they've got low downforce, they've got a strong engine, they've got the balance right. And when Alex is like that, he's on it. And in Czechoslovakia, he was third place on the grid. He went on to get a double victory there. The only other people who've done double victories this year are Team Germany. So he's in really good shape and he's in flying form at the moment.
Also quick from the outset was Ollie Jarvis. What did you make of his first session?
Well, I thought he was very strong, very committed, and he exudes confidence, this young man, and the way he's been placing the car, and the car looks very good. It's not twitching at all. You know, it's absorbing the bumps quite well, but there's a big echo around this park here, and you can hear the throttle and you can hear his commitment to the throttle, and you need to be brave through that final corner, through the Peraltada. And he's got everything. He's ended up in third place, not quite what he wanted. And we thought he was on for pole position, especially as he was so strong yesterday through all the practice sessions as well.
With bravity also comes risk, of course, and the Aussies ran considerably wide. Let's just take a look at this. Is there particular danger of doing that on this section of track?
Yeah, there is. And if you look at the runoff area there, it's negligible, isn't it? And there's your dust bowl right on the edge, and Ian Dyke. And he's had one rookie performance. He's been put straight into the race here, and he's very brave. And they say he's not just an ex-motocross rider; he's an ex-Formula 3 driver of some repute. In fact, he won the A1 support race in '05 in Australia. So he's looking to get a really good result for Australia, because they've been really bad so far this year.
Yeah, so far they have been. So dangers of running wide, also dangers with the bumps.
Yeah, the bumps are horrendous. Now, you've got to just look at this with Somerton here and USA car, and just look at his head going. You've got to imagine your legs and your arms inside that car as he's fighting the steering wheel going over the bumps. Most of the cars are set up quite stiffly, very, very low to the road. Your knees, your arms, your elbows, your head is taking absolute battering. What you get in these situations is double vision and sometimes treble vision when you're trying to see where you're going.
How hard is it concentration-wise? You've got to do that for 70 minutes in the main feature race.
Well, that is the thing. We're talking about 17-year-olds victorious. We're talking about 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds. They've got to have been training very, very hard, and in the altitude and in the heat during the feature race for 70 minutes, that's when the boys are going to have to become men, I'm afraid.
Let's talk about one man, Johnny Reid, in particular for Team New Zealand. It wasn't working for him today, but he did push hard and certainly paid the price for that, Tony.
See, I find it hard to understand when you've got Sears Motorsport running both of the teams and you've got a common chief engineer, and there's where he lost it. Big oversteer through turns 11 and 12 there. He probably lost about 0.3 of a second and more around the rest of the circuit, and he's ended up way down in something like about 15th place. Why can't they share the information with Team Germany, who are up there in second place, get the same setup? Unless, of course, his engine's down on power, unless his tyres are not working as well as the others.
Let's also speak about Jean-Carl Vernet in Team France's car, because he gets his chance this weekend ahead of Loic Duval. Thought that might put France at a slight disadvantage to have a rookie involved, but it doesn't seem to have been a problem.
Well, I definitely thought so. This is this young 19-year-old who won Formula Campus in France, but he's been taken on by the FFSA, which is France's governing body, and he's in the Red Bull Junior team for Formula 3 this year. He's that good, and he finished second in Formula Renault in France last year, and he's just advanced. And the amazing thing is that France don't have any Grand Prix drivers at all, and apart from Loic Duval, who's doing very well, this kid is getting the big push. He's going to be taking Hulkenberg on in the Euro F3 series later this year.
Now, what about New Zealand? Where on earth did it go wrong for them today?
Well, I think that they've clearly got something wrong in the setup. They may have a down on power engine. They've got an imbalance in the car, because under normal circumstances, Johnny Reid is in there and he's right up at the front. You know, he's had pole positions, he's had his wins this year. He's the only one really been capable of challenging Hulkenberg. And as I say, because they're both run by Sears Motorsport, both Germany and New Zealand, I'm a bit perplexed as to know what the answer is, and I'm sure they're perplexed too.
Yeah, we're going to be hearing from the top three shortly. We're going to take a break right now, though. When we come back, there's going to be more reaction to events in Mexico, and Tony's final thoughts ahead of race day. We'll also find out how the home nation did. Welcome back to A1GP Mexico. Team Malaysia goes into race day on pole. John Watson's been speaking to the top three. Let's hear from them.
have to say.
Welcome to the Bangia A1GP's hospitality area here in Mexico City, and I'm joined by the top three after qualifying here in Mexico this afternoon. Pole position, congratulations Alex Young for Malaysia. Newcomer, I can't call him a virgin because he's done rookie sessions before. Christian Vittoros for Germany and Oliver Jarvis for Team GBR. Let's go, Alex. You told me earlier in the week that you had a real problem with the race car. Were you just bluffing or did you work it out?
Yeah, I think obviously we worked it out. I mean, we've had a couple bad races where we were just struggling for pace. But you know, even when you're going slow, sometimes there are things you can learn. And I think we learned quite a bit, and we seemed to put it on the car, and it worked.
But you know, Alex, the worst thing is you make it look so easy. When you get it right, you make it look so easy. You blew everybody away in the first two segments. You didn't really need to bother going out in the final two.
Yeah, well, no, you always got to go out and just make sure. But yeah, the last segment we were just seeing how the car felt with the slightly older tyres.
Race pace, how's that going to be?
Yeah, I think it'll be okay. But what we found from yesterday and this morning was we really used the tyres very hard and had big graining problems. So we're going to have to watch that out for tomorrow.
Well, congratulations, stunning performance. Another stunning performance, Christian Vittoros. First time as a race driver. You've been a rookie for Germany before, but you're in a race. Final qualifying segment 4. You got into the 1 minute 26s. Where did that one come from?
Yes, as you told, it's my first time in the race in the car this race weekend. And out of this qualifying, I go really satisfied and happy. We have improved the car very well from Friday until now, and looking forward to the race.
Well, you've got big boots to fill because Nico Hülkenberg's had 8 race wins in that car. You've done part of the job already. Now, what about racing? How do you think you're going to get on in the sprint race?
I think we have a very good racing car. We practiced this morning with a high fuel load, and I'm looking forward to it. I think
have a good race. Oliver Jarvis, you and Team Germany, Christian Vittoros, you battled out that front row grid position alongside Alex Young, but he got you just in the end.
Yeah, I think I made a couple of mistakes and he managed to pit me, but you know, we're very confident with our actual race car. We didn't make massive steps forward with the new tyres like Malaysia, but if you look at our pace and old tyres, it's very competitive.
Well, you've looked stunning all weekend. I mean, in a sense, you were the man that we thought was going to be in pole position, and I mean, effectively, until Alex Young went out and blinded everybody with that lap, you were going to be the man. So really, just not getting the best out of the new tyre.
Yeah, like I said, the car's very good. You know, the team's done a great job, but I think at the moment I've never run on new tyres before, and I've managed to set a very good car for the old tyres. And you know, hopefully I'll get another chance to sort of work through the whole weekend, and I'll be able to change the car to get more out of the new tyres.
One quick question to you all: a rolling start for the sprint race. It's 1.1 kilometres straight before the first corner. What do you expect to happen, Alex?
Yeah, I kind of wish I was on the second row now. I mean, it's such a long straight that everyone's definitely going to get a draft.
There's going to be a massive slipstream down there, Christian, isn't there?
Of course there's, but I don't know. It's my first rolling start, and I don't know what's happened.
Well, I hope you've got enough presence of mind. You've done a very good job so far. Oliver, what do you expect going to turn 1?
I think it's going to be interesting, I've got to say. Like we said, there's going to be a big draft, but one of the things that's going to make it slightly different is the engine's slightly down on power with the altitude, so you might not get a bigger draft as you might expect, but it's going to be tough, and hopefully we can all make it through.
Well, the good news is all you 3 guys are at the front. The action is going to take place behind you. Have a good race, and let's go back up now to the commentary booth after qualifying.
John, thanks very much indeed. If you are wondering what went wrong with Team New Zealand, they finished in 14th. That's where they're going to start in the sprint race tomorrow. Let's find out. Johnny Reid's been speaking to Lee McKenzie.
Johnny, I spoke to you halfway through that. You said it was a bad day at the office. Do you have any idea why or what's wrong with the car?
Yeah, well, I thought we could bounce back. The guys have just got the car back from scrutiny now. They're pushing it in the garage as we speak. So, you know, we'll go through every which way to find out why. It's quite clear there's a problem. You know, from quickest yesterday to running in the top 3 this morning, and it's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow. Very disappointed, but we'll work hard and we won't give up.
Johnny, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Johnny Reid clearly not at all excited or delighted by his performance in Mexico today. Now, these A1GP drivers are far from cowardly on the track. What about off it, though? We're about to find out.
Dry desert air and the famous cactus, symbols of Old World Mexico. So we took our very modern drivers for some good old-fashioned fun.
Like that?
The art of rodeo and cowboys goes back hundreds of years, but this is a skill which is still practiced and taken very seriously in this part of the world. Whilst the drivers are used to containing 550 brake horsepower, restraining these horses was no easy task. These cowboys are some of the best in the business. Unlike these guys, it's obvious driving is their forte and not lassoing. And try as they did, it wasn't too safe to stand near them, human or horse.
Yeah, it was not so easy. At the end, I didn't catch the horse, but yeah, it was interesting to do. The show was really good.
It's incredible how these guys do this, and it's awesome that we have the opportunity to come here to watch them and for sure to represent Mexico, and for me it's very nice to have these kind of events here.
They do something similar in Brazil, but I never really tried. I'm towards more driving race cars and lace the girls.
Back inside, they got to try their hands at some typical Mexican games. But drivers enjoy a faster pace, so some of the braver boys got on the bucking bronco. Some stayed on longer than others, but ultimately they all ended up in the same place. Horses, real or mechanical, and horsepower are very different things.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun getting to get out there with the drivers and of course compete on a little bull riding competition, mechanical bull. It was fun.
It was really good fun. First time to try it. It was really hard to keep on it, but you know, I think I was good. Better than other drivers.
You think in a race car the crotch belts are uncomfortable? That hurt. 550 horsepower, not a problem. Give me one horse, not so much.
That's exactly what Tony was just saying. Give us a horse, not a bucking bronco. Fancy your chances on one of those?
Yeah, of course.
You got
Be like driving an A1 car over the bumps in Mexico.
Final thoughts then ahead of race day. We talked about it at the beginning of the programme. Let's reassess it now, having seen qualifying. Could Germany walk away with the title this weekend?
Well, yeah, they could, but the problem is, while the cat is away in the form of Hulkenberg, everybody was expected to take an advantage, particularly New Zealand. But they're finding out that the stand-in, the 17-year-old replacement, really has got big claws. You know, he's not a toothless wonder at all. He's not a real baby. And they're going to struggle, and they could just do it. He looks very strong indeed. Depends on his stamina and his fitness in the big race.
Oh, it's going to be fascinating. Tony, thanks very much for your thoughts during qualifying. Race day beckons. You can see it all live on Sky Sports. A1GP Mexico live from Mexico City starting at 9 p.m. on Sunday. All the action, including live and uninterrupted coverage of the feature race, coming your way on Sky Sports 2. So it's Malaysia in Mexico making all the right moves, but don't rule out Team GBR. They're very much in the mix for race day. See you then.
We laid down the law, so what the hell are you here for? We laid down the law, so what you need me for? We laid down the law, so what the hell are you here for? We laid down the law, so what you need me for? We laid down the law, so what the hell are you here for? We laid down the law, so what you need me for?
More sport, news and views at skysports.com.